Hi, welcome. I'm Katie McCrae, and welcome to Mindful Creativity Time for Sleep. If you're here, you might have been waking up in the middle of the night feeling kind of anxious or your thoughts are racing. And this is a place where we can do some crafting together. And as your hands are engaged, your mind slows down, your body slows down, and you can drift back to sleep. So, today I'm going to be talking a little bit about doodling, about Zentangles. And it's kind of a funny word, but it's an interesting word. It's tangling, which is kind of the doodling part, and Zen, which is the meditation part. So, as always, I recommend if you know that you wake up in the middle of the night and you need something to do to get back to sleep, to have something by your bedside so that it's easy to get to and you've already planned for it. So, this is a Zentangle kit. You don't need to buy one. I have this because I took a course in Zentangling when I went to a retreat at Kripalu Yoga Center. I had already been doing it for a while with my clients, and I wanted to learn more from the instructors. But it's kind of nice because it is a kit and you have everything you need together. You can do this with any kind of paper. Sometimes what I do is I will cut up a piece of manila folder into about 3.5 by 3.5 inches. And this is called a tile. So the paper, this is a completed one, but when you start, you can also buy the kit or you can buy from zentangle.com the tiles, and it's very nice paper. And then on the back, it's got some lines where you can write the name of the tangle or any notes that you want to. And one of the things that I love is the size. So you could theoretically do your doodling on a bigger piece of paper, but they recommend this small size because it's so portable and because it's easy to move around and get in the details. So I'm going to show you some examples. This is also helpful. This is a book that a client gave me called One Zentangle a Day. And a lot of the patterns you can learn are online. So you can go to their website and people are constantly creating and uploading patterns. But what I found with this book is that it really opened me up to the idea of learning new things and mastery. So I was looking, when I first looked through the book, I looked at some of the pictures and I thought, wow, that's amazing. I could never do that. There's some really pretty ones down here. There's some different patterns, different colors and shading. And in fact, what it says in the beginning of the book is you can learn these things and they're broken down very simply so that over time anybody can do it, almost anybody. And that to me was so important because that's how I felt about every kind of art, every kind of crafting and drawing, that it's so common for people to think either you're creative or you're not, you're an artist or you're not. It's sort of an inborn thing or it's not, but it's very much learned. So you can learn to do these things. And it's very step by step, it's practice and it's enjoyable. So the basics for making a Zentangle are taking your piece of paper, your tile, uh, whatever you decide to use. I sometimes have bought coasters off of Amazon because they're the right size. The thickness of those is not quite as good though, because sometimes they're a little bit spongy. They're really meant for sopping up liquids instead of drawing on. So you might take your tile, and they recommend using pen. And sometimes, again, that makes people a little nervous because you can't erase and go back. But the philosophy in Zentangle is there are no mistakes. If you draw a line and it's not where you wanted it to be, or you're doing a pattern and you fill in quote unquote the wrong part, you go with it, just like life. There's no eraser for life. You only go forward. You do the best you can and you incorporate any quote mistakes into your pattern and make it something new. So with this, you would have your tile. You could take your pen, and they have in the book, they recommend lots of different kinds of pens. This is one of my favorites, just a very thin pointed pen. Actually, for this, I'm going to use something thicker so that you can see what I'm doing. And you just make 4 points in the corners. It doesn't have to be exact at all. So you make your little dots, and then you just connect them. And again, it doesn't have to be precise, the lines don't have to be straight. In fact, you can make them purposely zigzaggy if you want to. So now you've got your tile and you've got your frame. The next thing you're going to do is make some strings, and the strings are just to break up the space. So you can just randomly make one long one, or you can make more than one. And you're breaking up the space so that you have places to doodle within. You don't want to do too much of the string, otherwise, the spaces are too small to doodle in. And then the fun thing is you doodle. Some people love doodling, they doodle all the time and they do it during meetings or for fun or in the edges of a notebook. I used to not doodle very much because I found that I didn't have a lot of repertoire. I didn't have very many patterns and they would get repetitive and boring. And so this is where the whole Zentangle process comes in, because they teach you these new patterns and they can become more complicated if you want them to. This is an example of one that I did when I took the course. And you can see there's all kinds of shading. You can get very three-dimensional effects. So you can use pen and then pencil for the shading. You can use different colors. So again, this is one that I did in the class that I took where we used different colors and made sort of a pebble effect. You can use paint, all different kinds of things to get all these different effects. But one thing that I really like, and again, I'm always going to come back to this book because it has so many examples in it. You can really do some fascinating things. They also sometimes use black paper and do white patterns on the black paper. When you're done and you have a finished product, there's so many things you can do with it too. So sometimes when I'm doing a project, I get focused on the product instead of the process. But these make such great gifts. You would be surprised how much people love to get something handmade, anything handmade, because it's so rare these days. A handwritten letter, um, a picture that you took of somebody that's printed out, something physical. So making one of these can be a really lovely part of a card or a gift tag or something that you give to somebody you put in a book or a bookmark. I always recommend that people, once they get into it, try giving them away and seeing how much others enjoy them. So the last thing I'm going to say is this one took a long time because it was very detailed, but you can do them in 15 minutes. And that's actually what they recommend in this book, is to really just give yourself 15 minutes a day. I used to keep it by my bedside, and every morning when I woke up, I would just do one for 15, 30 minutes until I felt ready to get out of bed. And so it was just a really nice morning routine. But again, you can do it at night. If you're listening to me right now, you can grab a piece of paper and start. And then during the course of the week, you might want to look at the website. And if you're interested, I can also do some different ones here and show you some of my favorite patterns. So I hope that at this point you're feeling more relaxed. You've been able to move your fingers a little bit, make some stuff. And I'm hoping that your mind has slowed down, your body has slowed down. I hope that you sleep tight, and I'll see you back here soon. Good night.